Hello and welcome to the July 21st, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this project of ours. We're usually live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on our YouTube page. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Hello, Becca. Or Becky. Not Becca. Becky. I do apologize again, and I thank you all so much for putting up with the delay in our broadcast, i.e. not broadcasting last night. That was totally my fault. I had a wild weekend, and I did not afford myself the recovery that I needed to be able to produce a good news broadcast for y'all. So, I am feeling much better today, and the show must go on. So, here we are on Monday. I totally forgot to put on my Producer Donna gifted bracelet, which is a good luck token. So let me get this on. You know, I have a checklist before I go live. I just don't follow it sometimes. All right. With that taken care of, let's get into our news brew. We have to give mad props to Producer Donna on this one. For tonight's news brew, if you want to put on your gloves, get ready because Octopus Wants To Fight. That's right. Octopus Wants To Fight. From Great Lakes Brewing. This is a 5.6%. I believe it's a 5.6. Nope, it's a 6.2. I'm going to have to change that in post. This is a 6.2% ABV American IPA, and it delivers the KO that fans want to see. Producer Donna, you the champ. We are going to go with our Wicked Pissa Pub Glass. We don't need the Balisong bottle opener. Blow the gain on the audio. Ooh, it's got a good nose to it. It's got a very good nose. Get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. I know this is kind of sacrilege, the way that I pour, but for these broadcasts, I don't want all this gas in me. I want all this gas out. It's great carbonation. It's going to stay carbonated. But this way, I am not going to be bloated later. So we'll let that settle as we get into our shout-outs. Beautiful color, just a clear, burnt gold. Producer Donna says, some of those I bought just because of the can. This was one of them. This is, of course, along with a very large gift box that Producer Donna gave me of different beer. And looks like a winner. So, shout-outs for tonight. Are you looking for a reason to get out of the house and enjoy our lovely summer? Fox and Hen Winery is the place to be for fine wine or cider, a beautiful setting, and delightful company. Fox and Hen is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale, Michigan. They specialize in small batch wine and ciders that reflect the Lake Michigan climate. Check them out Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. So to Fox and Hen, continuing to bring fantastic wine and cider. Cheers. They actually just had their summer celebration. It was a blast. I got to see pictures from it. It looked absolutely amazing. My parents had a great time. Everyone had a great time, and it was very well done. So Fox and Hen, cheers. Hey, Charlie. Got you on the big TV tonight while I deep clean my living room. I don't know how I feel about having such a large Nick in my house. That's right, for those of you that know me in person, I am not very large in person. I'm about 5'6", 5'7", a little stocky, but otherwise not the biggest guy. So you blow me up on the TV and all of a sudden I'm like King Kong. Or Godzilla. Producer Donna, this is a very good beer. This is a winner for sure. This is a definite winner. What is going on with that? Hold on. I gotta turn this. Check. How's that? Do I still sound okay? I'll wait for some yays or nays on that while I continue. Charlie says, I feel like I'm about to be given my mission directive. I sound perfect. Okay, I was futzing with the audio. For some reason, we just continue to be very high. And I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, how about now? Do I sound all right now? That's right, here at Nick's News, we don't troubleshoot before the episode. We troubleshoot during the episode for content. Producer Donna is saying, I still sound good. Okay, we will continue. Charlie following that up with a good. Another shout out. If you would like to be added to the list to receive reminders of our upcoming shows, please send a message here at Nick's News. You can send it to us on Facebook. You can send it to us on Instagram. You could email it to us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. All you need to do to send us to get put on the list is list. That's it. If you send that to us, we will add you to the list. You can be removed at any time at your leisure. Just let us know if you want to be removed or if you don't like our posts about upcoming content. So we don't sell your information. We don't use it for anything else other than to contact you and let you know, hey, an episode's coming up. We send out reminders on Wednesdays, Sunday afternoons, and an hour before the show starts on Sundays. We also have the option to send out reminders over Discord if you prefer Discord. So if you want to join our Nick's Newsy alert list, by all means, just get the word list to us somehow. And there's plenty of ways to contact us. Cheers. Oh, and if there's a special episode, Producer Donna just reminded me, if we do special episodes, like the upcoming rehousing of our tailless whip scorpion Ripley, you will get an alert for those as well. Producer Donna, this beer is a winner. This beer is a fighter. This beer is fantastic. All right, news quote. We will either find a way or make one. That's right. That comes from Hannibal, who lived in 247 to 182 BC, and he was a Carthaginian general and statesman who commanded the forces of Carthage in their battle against the Roman Republic during the Second Punic War. I have absolutely loved that quote my entire life. I used it as my quote for the game. Oh my gosh, what was the game? Oh man, it's going to be shutting down its servers soon. Anthem. So in our super group or our battle group, my quote was, "We will either find a way or make one," taking after Hannibal. And of course, being the short king that I am, I was piloting the biggest, heaviest javelin in the game. So this quote goes out to literally everybody, every Nick's Newsy, everybody who's hoping, trying, just doing their best. We will either find a way or make one. Cheers. Bug update. You know what I didn't miss about Elmira? Her decision to terraform her vivarium at a moment's notice and completely destroy everything that I did in it. Expect to see some images from before and after her reemergence and the destruction and devastation she has wreaked on her home. Those images will be in the Instagram. She has completely obliterated all of the terrain that I set up for her. She started to bury one of the hides and started to completely just uproot the other one. She has killed one of the spider plants already and just torn it from the ground. She is a terror. She filled half of the water dish with dirt again. She is a menace, and she needs to be stopped. Sue is being a real scaredy cat. I haven't seen him. I'm not 100% sure why, but we will keep an eye out for him. Remember, Sue lives here. And if Sue comes out, Sue likes to plod around up and down his hide. He sometimes likes to do tail-ups, trying to escape. I know he's still in the tank. He's just being really coy. Ripley wants to hog all of my attention, and they're doing a great job of it. And they have returned to their devilish, horrifying ways. In fact, just before the broadcast began, Ripley decided to get into one of her clicking sessions and just started clicking in her tank and scared the absolute hell out of me. So, thanks, Ripley. All right. Let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that we like to end on. And boy, do we have a lot of good news tonight. So we're going to start off in Category 1, Science and Technology. This article was sent in by Mona. So Mona, thank you very much for sending in this article. And we called it Going Green, Literally. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Chemical process produces critical battery metals with no waste. Aspiring Materials is turning olivine into several useful materials. This was published to IEEE Spectrum on July 8th of 2025 by Lori Winkless. Olivine is a rather unassuming rock. Olive brown to yellow-green in color, this hard yet brittle material is thought to be the most abundant in Earth's upper mantle. Chemically, olivine is magnesium iron silicate, though it contains other elements too. Economically, it's close to worthless. Its limited industrial utility stretches to gemstones, metalworking, ceramics, and occasionally as a gravel for road construction. At some mining sites, olivine is a waste product, stored in piles on the surface. It's certainly not an obvious choice as a source for battery materials. But that's exactly how it's viewed by a group of New Zealand engineers. Christchurch-based Aspiring Materials has developed a patented chemical process that produces multiple valuable minerals from olivine, leaving no harmful waste behind. Perhaps most interesting to the energy sector is the rarest of its products, hard-to-source nickel-manganese-cobalt hydroxide that is increasingly required for lithium-ion battery production. Aspiring's pilot plant, which opened in February, is in an anonymous industrial estate east of the city. One corner of the main floor is dominated by a large stainless steel tank, which is connected to a series of smaller tanks arranged in a stepped line. Apart from our electrolysis system, the hardware is more typical of dairy plants, says Colum Rice, Aspiring's chief commercial officer. The process is elegant but not massively complicated, they added. Our inputs are rock, water, and renewable energy, and our products come with no CO2 emissions. The rock is olivine flour, a fine green-gray dust that is an unwanted byproduct from refractory sand production. This is carried by screw conveyor into the largest tank, where it is combined with sulfuric acid. This acid leaching step transforms it into a kind of elemental soup, says Megan Danchek, lead chemical engineer at Aspiring. From there, it passes down the reaction chain vessels, where through the addition of caustic soda and careful management of particle size and temperature, 3 products can be individually extracted. About 50% of what the process makes is silica that can be a partial replacement for Portland cement, the most common variety of cement in the world. About 40% is magnesium product suitable for use in carbon sequestration, wastewater treatment, and alloy manufacturing, among other things. The final 10% is a mixed metal product, iron combined with small quantities of nickel manganese cobalt hydroxide. The battery industry calls it NMC, and it is the go-to material for higher power applications. Danchek explains that at the end of the extraction process, they're left only with a salty brine. This goes to an electrolyzer, which recycles and regenerates the acid we use for digestion and the base we use to separate the products. It's a closed loop. We're using the whole rock, and we're processing it at low temperature and ambient pressure. No need for massive pressure vessels, no need to heat stuff up. Right now, Aspiring does each separation consecutively, or as Rice put it, silica, reload, NMC, reload, magnesium. The plan is to add 2 more reaction chains in parallel, so that the process can run continuously, shortening the runtime from 3 days to 1. NMC materials are already widely used in battery manufacturing, typically forming the cathode in high-energy density lithium-ion batteries, or for those electrical systems that need to be frequently cycled, such as power tools, large-scale energy storage, and electric vehicles. What we've been able to produce here matches the specs of what is currently used in the battery space, says Danchek. Today, most industrially relevant NMC materials are made by combining salts of the three main ingredients, and each of those regularly appear on critical minerals lists because of their growing importance in our modern world. The challenge with critical minerals is accessing them. Most of the planet's nickel is sourced and refined in Indonesia. South Africa has the world's largest manganese reserves, but exports almost all of it to China for processing. For cobalt, the largest producer is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but again, it is refined in China. Concerns around supply monopoly, geopolitical instability, human rights violations, and environmental damage in these regions have been widely documented. While NMC hydroxide represents the smallest fraction, about 1%, of Aspiring's outputs, it could still make a dent in future supply chains for battery materials. As Jim Godden, who sat on the UK government's expert committee that developed the country's critical minerals strategy in 2023, explains, the approach to securing supplies of these materials is changing. Economies are looking at how they can shore up supply and diversify the supply chains, including collaborating with smaller producers who potentially offer more stability. The third branch is the circular economy, which is ensuring that materials they do have are used for longer or recovered for reuse. Aspiring is not the only company looking to extract more value from already mined materials. Canadian company Atlas Materials is currently commercializing a similar closed-loop process that produces a similar set of products. But the starting point differs. Rather than olivine, it focuses on serpentine. My understanding is that of these two raw materials, olivine is actually the more difficult to acid leach, says Fei Wang, an assistant professor at Université Laval in Quebec City. So that means it needs a higher energy input and will consume the acid more quickly. Wang's research also focuses on hydrometallurgical extraction of critical metals, but he is not involved with Atlas or Aspiring. There's no doubt that Aspiring's technology is interesting and represents a step forward in progress, but I have some concerns around the economics of it, he adds. For Godden, the conversation should be broader than that. From a European perspective, things are shifting towards cleaner, more sustainable production. There's an increasing focus on providing data about the environmental impacts of the materials that are imported and consumed. Even if, say, Aspiring's materials end up being more expensive, they may be able to compete on these grounds. They're extracting value from every component they produce with little to no waste. Or with low to no waste. That's likely to be a benefit for exporting to those markets. To everybody at Aspiring for coming up with a new way to produce nickel manganese cobalt hydroxide from olivine, and to Mona for sending in that article. Cheers. Yeah, Becky, we had a lot of engineer snaps on that one. Okay. We're going to double down on Battery Town with our next article. We call this, Call the Fire Truck! Call the Fire Truck! But not for me! I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Heard some bug noises. New lithium batteries have built-in fire extinguishers. This was published in Popular Science on July 15th of 2025 by Andrew Paul. Hey, Mona. Cheers. Lithium-ion batteries are a hot commodity for the renewable energy industry. Their high energy density allows them to store huge amounts of power relative to their size, making them a go-to choice for electric vehicles, smartphones, and other rechargeable devices. Unfortunately, the heat from those same hot commodities occasionally becomes literal. If you've seen any of the videos about a lithium fire, you know what we're talking about. Rechargeable batteries need two components for a chemical reaction to occur: a lithium metal anode that oxidizes and releases electrons, and a nickel-rich oxide cathode that charges those electrons. But another byproduct is flammable gas. If ignited, the intense flames can blaze for hours while releasing smoke plumes laden with toxic chemicals. In some cases, a single lithium battery car fire requires as much as 30,000 gallons of water to extinguish fully. With that threat in mind, automotive engineers are continually working to improve battery designs and their casings. Some researchers argue that another layer of protection may also boost battery safety. According to a study published on July 14th in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, integrating better fire extinguisher systems into lithium-ion batteries could offer an effective additional failsafe for drivers and passengers. A team led by molecular chemist Ying Zhang from the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of Chemistry recently developed a prototype battery with cathodes infused with a flame-retardant polymer. They then tested it against a standard industry lithium battery by gradually raising their internal temperatures. The devices both began overheating after surpassing 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's where the prototype's secret weapon came into play. At that temperature, the specialized polymers inside the cathodes started breaking down, releasing flame-inhibiting radicals to suppress the inevitable buildup of flammable gas. After passing 248 degrees, the standard battery's runaway chain reaction caused it to explode within 13 minutes, with flames eventually reaching 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit. That is nothing to play with. In contrast, the new prototype battery topped out at 428 degrees without ever catching fire. This smart gas management strategy enhances both thermal safety and electrochemical stability, offering a transformative pathway to fire-safe lithium metal batteries for advanced energy storage application, the study's authors explained. If scalable, the team's design could help prevent countless battery fires by starving off even the initial flames, but it's that detail that will be key to its success. While some battery manufacturers already line their products with flame-retardant chemicals, past studies indicate they do little to actually prevent fires. What's more, those same chemicals may release even more toxins into the air when heated. For this latest design to work, engineers will need to make sure their invention not only prevents fires, but also does not generate any of these hazardous fumes that may come with the flames. At least so far, that seems to be the case. To Ying Zhang and everybody at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of Chemistry, developing a lithium battery that puts itself out if it's or even prevents it from becoming a massive conflagration and burning down a car. Cheers. I got a little tongue-tied on that one. All right, that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. We've got one article in here, and we called it Parents Come in 1s, 2s, and 3s. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I don't think this one was a send-in. Producer Donna will check me on that. Eight healthy, 3-parent babies born in the UK using pioneering IVF technique. This was posted to Gizmodo. It was published on July 17th of 2025 by Ed Cara. So-called 3-parent babies are thriving in the UK, new clinical trial research shows, are thriving in the UK. Producer Donna was snuggling Bruce. You can check out on Tuesdays our Nick's Newsies Flora and Fauna post. Bruce has been featured. Scroll back, he's adorable. Producer Donna, you'll check me if any of these other ones were send-ins. I don't have it written in my notes that any were, so if there was one that I missed, please add that before I get to it. Let's start the article. So-called three-parent babies are thriving in the UK. New clinical trial research shows that several healthy children in the country have been born with the DNA of 3 people. Doctors at Newcastle University led the study, which involved around 24 women with a high risk of passing down harmful mutations of their mitochondria to their children. So far, 8 kids have been born using an in vitro fertilization technique, or an IVF technique, that replaces a mother's damaged mitochondrial DNA with that of a donor, all of whom appear to be disease-free. The findings seem to validate this new approach to preventing these genetic disorders. For those of us who took any level of science class, we know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. However, it is possible to have genetic defects that damage mitochondria, and those can cause a wide range of harmful defects to new children that are born with it. In fact, I think we recently had an article that talked about a genetic modification that was specifically to target some folks who had mutations to their mitochondria that was giving them a terrible quality of life, and it was very successful. So kind of nipping it in the bud, getting ahead of it by being able to replace the damaged mitochondria or mitochondrial DNA with good mitochondrial DNA is pretty crazy. As parents, all we ever wanted was to give our child a healthy start in life. Mitochondrial donation IVF made that possible, said the mother of a girl born with the method in a statement from the university. After years of uncertainty, this treatment gave us hope, and then it gave us our baby. We look at them now, full of life and possibility, and we're overwhelmed with gratitude. Science gave us a chance. Mitochondria are the cells responsible for creating. Mitochondria are the cell's primary source of energy. Blah. But only a tiny slice of our genetic material is responsible for creating them. This mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, is found outside the nucleus, unlike the rest of our DNA, and the genes for making mitochondria are only inherited from our mothers. That's fascinating. Becky, I follow that up. Science is so cool. Certain mutations of mtDNA are known to cause serious diseases, and women whose eggs carry these variants can pass them down to their children. The technique, pioneered by Newcastle researchers, sought to get around this risk in a relatively simple way. They used standard IVF to create a fertilized egg with the mother's and father's DNA, then remove the nucleus. This nucleus is inserted into a donor egg that had its nucleus removed, which is finally transplanted into the mother's uterus for a hopefully successful pregnancy. If all goes well, the resulting child carries all the nuclear DNA of their parents and the healthy mtDNA from the donor. The researchers enrolled 22 women carrying harmful mtDNA variants to undergo the IVF procedure. These women were compared to a group of women who instead received pre-implantation genetic testing, or PGT, a common screening technique that can select for healthy mitochondria prior to transplant. For some women, a harmful mtDNA variant will only show up occasionally in their eggs. 8 women who underwent mitochondrial donation had live births, while another woman has an ongoing pregnancy. None of the children, 4 boys, 4 girls, and a set of identical twins, have shown signs of mitochondrial disease so far, and all are reaching their developmental goals on schedule. The success rate of the technique, 36%, was also similar to PGT at 41%. The results were published across 2 studies in the New England Journal of Medicine. The findings do point to some current limitations of mitochondrial donation. Some of the children had mitochondria carrying harmful mutations, for instance. Even in these children, however, most of their cells still carried healthy mitochondria, and their levels of mutated mitochondria are likely low enough to prevent the disease from emerging. But this result will merit further monitoring of the children, and it suggests the IVF method can be improved to lessen the chance of its happening. Earlier versions of mitochondrial donations have been developed, though these were ultimately banned in countries like the US for being too dangerous. The UK has slowly but steadily been laying the groundwork for this newer and safer technique to be cleared for widespread use. The country officially allowed the first treatment in 2018, now 7 years ago. So while there may be important questions left to answer, many women living with this genetic risk may soon have a new option available that will allow them to have children all their own. or of their own. To everybody involved at the UK in their new clinical trial at the Newcastle University that provided 8 healthy 3-parent babies to the families of those children, to everyone involved, and the kids. Cheers. Mona in the chat, that's amazing that none of them have the defect. Wonderful. It is... Cheers, Tim. And Becky said, "Aw, twins." So it is, as they stated, it is... Some of the kids did still have some mutated mitochondria, but not enough that it was actually impacting them. So that's pretty damn good. All right, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna. And we call this first one, the nose knows. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Keep hearing bug sounds. 1,000 dogs volunteer to sniff out invasive species in first-of-its-kind canine citizen science study. This was published to goodgoodgood.co on July 18th of 2025 by Cameron Baker. I wanted to call this article Lanternflies. Fuck lanternflies. But the nose knows won out. As climate change continues to rear its destructive, uncertain head, canine companions are playing a vital role. These are conservation dogs sniffing out invasive species in nature preserves, helping to clean contaminated waterways, and even avalanche rescue dogs that save people in the great outdoors. Most of these dogs are bred for greatness and train their whole puppyhood to work in these roles. But a recent study from Virginia Tech wondered, can everyday dogs do the same? In the study, Virginia Tech conducted a first-of-its-kind experiment to see if citizen dog handler teams can achieve species detection rates comparable to those of professional conservation dogs. Over 1,000 dog owners expressed interest in the study, with more than 40% of them having prior experience in sport scent detection or other related activities. Sport scent detection is a recreational activity in which dogs find hidden scents in training classes and sometimes competitions. Ultimately, the researchers selected 182 canine citizen teams across the U.S. to participate in their trial to see if everyday people and their pets could effectively detect the elusive egg masses of the spotted lanternfly. The species is an invasive insect that has been damaging farms and forests across the eastern and central United States since it was first found in Pennsylvania in 2014. It is no far cry. I mean, it is brutally obvious that I am a bit of a bug lover. I have 3 different species of scorpions. I keep praying mantises, and right now, a couple of Madagascar hissing roaches. I have all sorts of bugs and plants and all sorts of odds and ends in my house, but I absolutely hate the spotted lanternfly. So that is one bug that I will say, get rid of it. In the years since, the species, native to Asia, has spread rapidly to 18 states, where lanternflies lay eggs on trees, stone, lumber, and even cars and trailers. To eradicate the threat, it's important to catch the egg masses early, but according to the study's co-author, Mizuho Nita, finding them is like searching for a needle in a haystack. If you look in the article, you will see a picture of a lanternfly egg mass. It looks like bark. That sucks to try to find. With their keen sense of smell, dogs can be trained to sniff out the egg masses without disturbing the environment. Professional detection dogs do this with high accuracy, but there are not nearly enough of them to tackle the mounting concerns of the invasive species, an article for the university explained. What if we tapped into the tens of thousands of dog owners already doing scent detection as a hobby around the country? The researchers asked. So, with 182 citizen scientists and their furry friends on board, researchers provided them with devitalized or non-hatching egg masses as a training aid. The participants trained their dogs at home or in small groups with the help of a local trainer to learn how to identify the invasive species. Anytime you can stimulate your dog, it's good for them, participant Bill Wellborn said of his 7-year-old Tibetan Terrier, Pepe. Pepe obviously enjoys it, and it's a way we can take dog skills and training to help our community, he added. Wellborn and Pepe and other participating teams worked in sessions multiple days a week for several months, with dogs eventually tested in 2 environments. In a controlled indoor environment, the dogs had to complete an odor recognition test in which they identified the box with the spotted lanternfly egg masses from multiple boxes with other items and scents. I see Becky asked, I wonder what its natural predator is. Well, right now in the US, it doesn't have any. That is one of the crazy things about it. If you look at it, it has all the markings of a poisonous species, bright colors, a huge threat display when it spreads its wings. Nothing wants to eat this damn bug. So we need to figure out if we can get something to eat it, or we need to come up with new and interesting ways to eradicate it, and this could be one of them. Let's see. The dogs that passed this test then advanced to a field test outdoors, where they were required to find the same scent outside with other competing smells. They correctly identified the egg masses 82% of the time in the controlled tests and 61% of the time in the field trials. Although the field test number dropped, it's still a better score than human-only searches. These teams demonstrated that citizen scientists and their dogs can play a meaningful role in protecting agriculture and the environment from invasive species, Sally Dickinson, the study's lead author, said in a statement. With proper training, dog owners can turn their pets into powerful partners for conservation. For the dogs that passed both tests, 92% were successful in finding live egg masses with minimal extra training, according to the researchers. There are thousands of people out there doing scent work with their dogs, just for fun. Erica Feuerbacher, an animal behaviorist and a co-author on the study, said. What Sally's study shows is that this can be more than a hobby. These citizen scientists and their dogs can be a valuable resource for fighting the spread of an invasive pest, they added. The dog handlers agree. Being able to do the same thing for the greater good, for citizen science, adds another layer we didn't have before. Katie Thomas, a participant, shared about her pit bull mix, Finch. And now, with a proven concept, the future is bright for dog owners who want to bond with their pets and do a little more good. This research is about more than detection, Dickinson concluded. It's about empowering people to work alongside their dogs to protect the places and communities they care about. To everybody involved with this study from Virginia Tech, utilizing citizen scientists and their canine companions to sniff out spotted lanternfly egg cases, cheers. It does suck, Becky. It really sucks. Spotted lanternflies are absolutely terrible creatures. Okay, we called this next one The House of Mouse. Disney, please don't sue us. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. How Wimbledon tennis balls are helping vulnerable UK harvest mice. This was published on the 2nd of July of 2025 by Wanda Sachs. And it was posted to Country Living. 55,000 tennis balls are used at the tennis tournament each year. Here's what happens to them afterwards. On Monday, the 30th of June, tens of thousands of tennis enthusiasts flocked to SW19 again as Wimbledon kicked off for the 138th time. According to its own estimates, the tournament uses roughly 55,000 tennis balls each year. But what happens to them once they've served their purpose? While many are sold on site to raise funds for the Wimbledon Foundation, the All England Lawns Tennis Club has another second act for the fuzzy yellow orbs. one that supports British wildlife and the environment. Hey, Christian. After the tournament wraps up, used balls are donated to the Wildlife Trusts, a grassroots movement of 46 independent charities working to bring back and support wildlife. The organization transforms the balls into homes for one of the UK's smallest and most vulnerable animals, the harvest mouse. These tiny rodents, measuring just 5 to 7 centimeters and weighing a mere 4 to 6 grams or less than a 2-penny coin, typically make their nests in long grasslands, hedgerows, and farmland in the north of England. Modern agricultural practices, however, have dramatically reduced their natural habitats, landing the harvest mouse on the UK post-2010 Biodiversity Framework's priority list. In the wild, harvest mice must weave intricate spherical nests from grass high up in the tall grass. Thanks to their shape and size, tennis balls, albeit attached to poles and with a hole cut into them, offer the perfect ready-made shelter for the mammals, especially for nesting females, helping protect them and their young from predators. The initiative, which has been running for 25 years, is just one part of Wimbledon's environmental efforts. Other green initiatives include providing reusable water bottles for players to reduce plastic waste and a living wall adorning court number 1, a vertical tapestry of plants installed in 2019 to attract bees and butterflies. That is absolutely amazing to everybody involved at Wimbledon and the different wildlife trusts set up that take these used tennis balls, drill a hole in them, and turn it into a mouse house. Cheers. Mona hitting us up with some knowledge. The harvest mouse is the only British mammal to have a prehensile tail. Fascinating. Christian says, a mousehold. Just doing some cleaning here. There we go. Okay. Most of the chat has now gone to see the mice, and they are adorable. All right, that is going to get us out of flora and fauna. We are going to move on to category 4, the wholesome notes, and we've got 3 wholesome articles here for you, so get ready. This first one we called Staying Authentic. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Wrong button. Right button. There we go. Mona says, our local harvest mouse is the Western harvest mouse. Very cool, Mona. I have 9 lives. Canadian diver reflects on terrifying cliff fall, overcoming near-death experience. This was published to CBC Sports, and it was published on July 17th of 2025 by Tara DeBoer. After a near-death experience slipping off of a 22-foot diving cliff, Canadian diver Molly Carlson says she'll celebrate the next time she gets on the diving board again. The 26-year-old was competing at the second stop of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series in Pulignano Amare, Italy, on June. I had to slap some Italian on that. Pulignano Amare. On June 28th of 2025, when the fall happened, leading her to drop out of the competition. There is circulating video of her fall. It is harrowing, to say the least. Watching it again, it's always terrifying. You don't expect yourself to slip off a 22-meter platform. Oh, it wasn't 22 feet. It was 22 meters. That's a little different. For those of us that operate in freedom units, that's 72 feet. I thought something was up with that. I was like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure that she fell off of a 22-meter diving post and not 22 feet. Someone wants to check me on that real fast. But I'm pretty sure that Molly Carlson took a slip on a 22-meter diving platform. That is significantly higher of a fall. Watching it again, it's always terrifying. You don't expect yourself to slip off a 22-meter platform after years of doing it perfectly, Carlson told CBC Sports. I'm just really proud of myself for knowing what to do in the air in such a scary situation. The next morning, the diver woke up with a black bruise covering the sole of her right foot. I was like, okay, I need to be smart about this, she said. The shock is over. I am in pain. Let's just make sure I'm good for the World Championships. And so I flew home early and I got an x-ray and it was all clear. Carlson, who has been outspoken about struggles with anxiety, says that her first instinct after the fall was to feel like she let down her sponsors and her country. Now she's rewriting her own narrative and celebrating her courage on the diving board. I live with anxiety, and I know that other people do too, she said. And for me, I'm just trying to really find deep down, like, you have to do this for you. You can't be jumping off platforms for other reasons. You can't be trying to people please the whole time. I think that's a quote that a lot of us can take to heart. Later this month, Carlson will compete in Singapore for Team Canada at the World Aquatics Championships 2025. As she prepares to return to the world stage, supportive teammates are what grounds the diver, she says. Knowing that I have my coach, I have my teammates, I have Summer McIntosh ready to come cheer for me at the World Championships, Carlson said. I think that's the coolest thing ever, and I just can't wait to prove to everyone that I can do this dive. While Carlson is gunning for the podiums at Worlds, becoming a world champion has always been a dream. Her greater goal is to inspire those watching. At the end of the day, I've learned that success is so much more than outcomes. It's absolutely about how much you can connect with the audience, how much you can inspire, she said. It is truly through inspiration, and I hope that I am helping someone out there feel less alone. To Molly Carlson, who managed to survive a 22-meter or 72-foot fall off of a diving board and is getting ready to go to the World Championships for Aquatics this year in Singapore, and who is driving to be an inspiration to us all and remind you, you've got to do things for yourself. Cheers. Keep the good times rolling. Our second article of the Wholesome Notes we called Heckin' Good Boy and Girl. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Shelter dog makes history as first ever morale dog stationed on a U.S. Navy ship. This was published at goodgoodgood.co on July 18th of 2025 by Cameron Baker. Becky says, I have really bad anxiety, so I feel that deeply. I hear you on that, Becky. At Shelter to Soldier, 1-year-old lab mix Raider has been undergoing special training since April of this year. It's all for one very exciting job, to become the first ever morale dog to join active duty Marines and sailors on the USS Macon Island. For the past decade, the San Diego nonprofit has trained shelter dogs as psychiatric service animals for United States veterans. When the training director, Nikki Moore, started bringing therapy dogs to Navy ships for special outings, the crews had one request. Every single time it was like, I really wish we had a dog that stayed on board. Like, Can we take this dog on deployment with us? And so we just kind of were like, actually, yeah. Moore told NBC San Diego. Raider was the perfect fit. Adopted from Labs and Moore Rescue, he's been highly focused on training for the past few months and will now join a team of 5 handlers in his own room on board to reside on the ship full time. Since April, he's been training to go to the bathroom on a potty patch, learning how to wear booties to protect his feet from hot surfaces, wearing eye protection, and getting used to all the noises on the ship, Moore explained. He's also been learning all kinds of commands and preparing to receive first aid and be groomed by his handlers. If all goes according to plan, Raider is set to join the Macon Island Naval Base San Diego at the end of next month. When the base deploys, he'll go with them. His official title is indeed Morale Dog, with the initiative designed to support the emotional wellness, morale, and mental health of sailors and Marines, according to a Facebook post from Shelter to Soldier. He will offer support through structured interaction, presence, and engagement, aka typical dog behavior. And, like other Shelter to Soldier ambassadors, will support trauma recovery therapy, participate in group sessions, visit service members' families, and offer moments of connection and care when it's needed most, according to the nonprofit. The need for mental health support among active duty Navy service members is more urgent than ever, Shelter to Soldier continued in their Facebook post. Raider's role aboard the USS Macon Island helps address this crisis by fostering camaraderie within the crew, reducing operational stress, and increasing awareness for shipboard wellness and behavioral health services. Mona in the chat said, "That is amazing. The sailors are going to be so much happier having Raider aboard." I agree. Morale Dog services appear to be unaffiliated with the official Department of Defense, with Shelter to Soldier thanking individual donors for sponsoring Raider's placement in their social media posts. Additionally, Raider's training has been going so well that other ships and sponsors have been inspired to partner with the organization for the same purpose, according to another recent social media post. Lady, another black lab rescue from the same organization that saved Raider, has begun training to support the USS Boxer. She's already a star, the organization added. To everybody involved with having Raider and Lady going from Shelter to Soldier to be morale dogs on board Navy vessels, the USS Macon Island, and in the future, the USS Boxer. Cheers. Heckin' good boys and girls. Okay, our last article of the night is a Saviors of All Ages article. Note that there are some harrowing moments in this article, so be ready, but in the end, it is indeed a savior of all ages. So, I am going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Virginian 12-year-old wins honor after saving his family from a fiery blaze. The bottom line, he saved his family's life. This was published to Good, and it was published on June 28th, 2025 by Eric Barnes. When Ramir Parker's home caught fire, he displayed more courage than what's expected of a 7th grader. As the house fire quickly grew and spread, his first thought was to get his 2 younger brothers and his grandmother safely outside. This impressed the fire chief to the point that Ramir wasn't just given an honor for his bravery, but a job offer. After hearing a strange noise from downstairs, Ramir investigated and saw black smoke throughout the house. In spite of the danger, his first concern was his family. he immediately went into action and saved them from the flames. It's my little brothers. I don't care, because the only thing that matters is I got my little brothers out of the house and my grandma, Ramir said to CBS 6 News in Richmond, Virginia. I picked both of them up. I grabbed them. They was on opposite ends of the couch. I grabbed them. I grabbed my 2-year-old brother. Then I grabbed the 1-year-old, because the 1-year-old is smaller, and I fitted them inside my arms, and we ran outside the house. With his 2 little brothers in his arms, Ramir helped guide his grandmother through the thick smoke to safety. While the fire department appeared within 4 minutes after being called, the fire had spread so quickly that there would have been deadly consequences had Ramir not acted. Petersburg Fire Chief Wayne Hoover was blunt. The bottom line, he saved his family's life. To recognize Ramir Parker's bravery, the Petersburg City Council gave him an honorary proclamation for demonstrating a level of bravery and presence of mind well beyond his years. The fire department praised Ramir on their social media and made him an honorary firefighter. While being an honorary firefighter is a symbolic gesture, Chief Hoover is hoping to make it official when Ramir is older, saying, when he turns 18, he's got a job with us. If you have young children, it might be a good idea to educate them on what to do if they notice a fire in the house like Ramir did. While it shouldn't be expected for children to be as heroic as Ramir, some basic fire safety education could help your kids stay safe and get them out should an emergency occur. The American Red Cross recommends that parents teach their kids what their smoke alarm sounds like and tell them the best paths to leave the house in case of a fire. Consider having fire drills once a month at your home. Practice crawling on the floor away from rising smoke, and set a designated meeting spot outside so children and parents know where to find one another. While you're doing your drill, teach and practice the stop, drop, cover, and roll method so your kids know how to smother fire that catches on their clothing. Lastly, make sure your children know that if they notice a fire and you're not around, that they can call 911 for emergency services. With basic fire safety training, you and your family can be as calm and collected as Ramir Parker was if something catches fire in your home. Taking proper safety precautions and acting in speed to get out of the house can help everyone be safer and allow the professional firefighters to do their jobs as effectively as possible. And I know at the end of that was a lot of ads effectively for fire prevention or for fire safety, not unwarranted, but at the same time, let us not lose sight of the fact that a 12-year-old sprang into action, picked up his 2-year-old and 1-year-old brothers, and helped lead his grandmother out of a burning home. Saviors of all ages. Mona says, way to go, Ramir Parker. Basic fire safety training is very important, and working smoke alarms. To Ramir Parker, you are far too young for this, so I will drink it in your honor. You are a savior of all ages. Cheers. All right, thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Knicks News YouTube channel. Again, we're live usually every Sunday, and our next episode will be on July 27th of 2025. I encourage participation, so by all means, if you feel inclined, you can post suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you do send a bunch of articles in, we like it if you could spread them out across our 4 major categories, which again were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, which is plants and animals, and wholesome notes. The really nice articles we like to end on, like Ramir Parker, or our 2 morale dogs, or Molly Carlson. So you can message us on Facebook, on Instagram, or you can email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description of our videos. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our content, so we can, on Facebook and on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. That's right, we're on TikTok too, so that we can get good news and joy out into the algorithm, so that we can pump the algorithm with good news, joy, and this hope core stuff that we produce. If you are going to contact us about SEO advertisement, just don't. We're not looking for it. I really can't thank you all enough for everything that you do, all of the content, or all the times you interact with our content, and just continue to grow Nick's News. We continue to see growth. I'm so happy for it. And again, I can't thank you all enough. Y'all drive Nick's News to be better. So, as always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.